You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
Before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you a little bit about our current sponsors, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. As you well know, if you've been following This is Oklahoma, they've been a huge part of this podcast. So this podcast is presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, telling an Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at oklahomahof. Also, for the podcast, a new sponsor, RCB Bank. Since 1936, RCB Bank has offered progressive products and a friendly service. Come in today to find out more about their loan promotion on new, used, refinanced cars, boats, campers, and ATVs. Visit RCB Bank to learn more. RCB Bank, that's my bank. With approved credit, restrictions apply. Now, let's get into today's episode. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, host, back with another episode down at Bedford Studio today with mate Gerod Black. I'm going to talk about some golf and some insurance, but before we do, mate, thanks for coming down. Excited to share the story and talk a little bit about, you know, the new business that you've got coming up, or that is already open, new building that you're in. But before we do, tell us a little bit about, you know, where you grew up and how you get into golf.
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I always enjoy listening to your guests, and glad to be one. So, grew up in West Texas, down near Lubbock is what I kind of tell people. It's just south of Lubbock, about an hour. And grew up playing the game and with my dad and granddad, and it was just one of those things. You didn't have a whole lot to do in West Texas, so you pretty much, you know, played sports.
Is that Tin Cup country?
It's not too far from Tin Cup country. Yeah, it's probably 2 hours.
Okay,
roughly.
Yeah, I recently listened to the Golfers Journal podcast, and they did an episode with Gary McCord.
Yeah,
and he talks all about helping on Tin Cup and stuff. And I was like, I never knew any of this stuff. I mean, it's one of the greatest golf movies, but to hear everything from the background stuff, like how he got all the pros involved and basically told all the wives that, hey, if we can throw a dinner with Don and Kevin, like, will you get, you know, the husbands to the pros to join for nothing? And they were, yeah, done. So he basically just threw a huge party with, you know, Don Johnson and Costner or whatever, and for the wives basically, and then they just said, yeah, they'll be there, don't worry.
Yeah,
so that was a good podcast. And
so desert land blows all the time.
Yeah.
So if you had to figure out how to play golf in 34 mile an hour winds, or you just didn't play. So.
Yeah. So you get into the game because a family's playing.
Yeah.
It just seems natural.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just fall in love with it and go kind of through high school with it.
Yeah. So I fell in love with it at a young age, and then, you know, I didn't come from big financial background, so didn't play any of the AJGAs or any of that kind of stuff. Just couldn't afford that kind of stuff. Played some local tournaments around the area, some what they called NTPGA tournaments in junior high and stuff, and then started really getting serious about it 7th, 8th grade.
Okay.
And then went out for my freshman year, made varsity and top 5, and then rest was.
Then you're like, yeah, you get the bug, and then you realize that you're good at it,
right? And
it just times by however many, doesn't it? Because then you fall in love with it.
Exactly. So then my sophomore year, I was at the golf course every day.
Yeah.
Well, and so from my home school, or my hometown, our school didn't allow you to play 2 spring sports.
Okay.
So, which is very common up here in Oklahoma. You know, I got friends, kids that play baseball and golf, and so I was a big baseball player too, but I couldn't play both, so I had to make a decision, which was very tough because I loved baseball, but ultimately I knew I could play golf probably at the next level.
Yeah.
And also till I was 85 years old. And so that's when I really kicked it into the next gear as far as practicing and getting after it and really just loving it every day.
And then thinking about, like, where am I going to go after high school to college?
Yeah, not really. I really didn't really have that thought. I mean, I really wasn't sure. I mean, I thought I could play, but I really wasn't. I would say at the end of my sophomore season, after I had won district, so it's a 4 tournament over 5 weeks. So like I think we had 1 week off. And the first round was at our course, and I shot 70 and was leading. as a sophomore, and then kind of fell back a little bit. I shot 79, 78 the next 2 rounds. And so I was down going into the 4th round and shot 68 to win it my sophomore year. So at that point I knew I could, I could probably play, and then I won it again my junior and senior year. What's crazy though is I never got to state in Texas.
Well, it's just that's mad. There's a reason, right? It's because it's just. I mean, it is huge.
I just couldn't. I never got past the regional location, which is wild. But in Texas, I mean, you had to finish top 2, or your team had to finish top 2, and we weren't really extremely deep on the team level. So, I never finished top 2 at regionals, which was wild. But so I never made state, but had multiple offers coming out of high school, and then. Decided to stay close and went to Midland Junior College, which was a dominant JUCO down there.
Are they still dominant?
Yeah.
I've heard the history books. I don't know how.
Yeah, it's still, I mean, national championship caliber teams every year. I think they got 3rd or 4th this year. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're stacked always. Yeah.
I was down in New Mexico a couple of weeks ago, and on the way down there, I stopped off in Odessa and practiced for a day at Odessa Country Club.
Yeah.
Didn't get to play, but had dinner and kind of hung out there. That looks like a cool place.
It's a great place.
Yeah. Would love to have played, but it was more of a stop here, and then we'll continue on to play in New Mexico on a not very good golf course, and we played terrible too.
Yeah, I looked at going to Odessa actually. Odessa, Midland were kind of my top 2 choices.
Yeah.
So, actually had a hole-in-one on my Odessa recruiting trip.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah. That doesn't suck, does it?
No.
So you go to Midland then, and how long are you there?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
And so it's a JUCO, only there for 2 years, enjoying it, having a great time.
Absolutely, probably the 2 best years of my life. Don't tell my wife and kids I said that now. So show up. I knew I had a Scottish roommate, and I knew he was a little bit older. And he still lives in Midland, actually. Lee Rind, professional golf pro out at Midland Country Club. And he's 21 or 22. Scott,
so, so he was like me when I started. Right. I came out here,
And wasn't sure we had to go to class. Kind of, he just knew he was there to play golf. And the guy was, he still is. I mean, he's still a good player, but just absolutely phenomenal. I shoot 68 my first qualifier, and I'm in 7th.
Welcome to school.
Welcome to the next level. Yeah. So we had, a couple of Scottish guys. Actually, we had 3 or 4 Scottish guys, South African, Canadian, California, Tennessee, Louisiana, a few West Texas guys. So we had a very diverse but super, super good team, and an absolute blast.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's some stories that aren't good for the podcast, but I'm sure,
absolutely. Just, the dream. You wake up. We had a gym on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and you had to have an 8 o'clock class, so you knew we're getting up, and we were done with class at 11 or 12. Course by 12:31. Pretty much every day.
All day. Yeah, every day, all day, isn't it? Just like, come home, we'll come back to school when you want to eat. Yeah. I do miss that college practice schedule, wouldn't it? Like, you just get done with class.
And out there, in Midland, people that live there know that these boys can play.
Which
so
is good.
Like if we wore something out that had Midland College on it or whatever, probably shouldn't say this either, but
they knew.
Our meals would get picked up and stuff like that, which is probably okay. But so it was.
Well,
it was
it's
great.
You're right. You're people who understand golf, right? Because there's no big universities in that area, right?
Well, Tech, but Tech's that's it.
Yeah, and you're like the local stars, and if you're at the golf club and country club, which feels great, and then you're coming in, as a freshman and competing with these guys, and it's nothing better than playing against better golfers.
So we played a Muni on Monday, and then we played Midland Country Club on Tuesdays, Ranchland Hills on Wednesdays, Green Tree on Thursdays, and then we occasionally went to Odessa Country Club on Fridays.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, all right.
Living the dream.
Yeah.
Well, what we could do to go back to that, right?
Oh, yeah.
And not have the class, but go to class, but have that. So 2 years, have a great time. How many tournaments did you make in those 2 years?
I made probably... There was a couple couple of my freshman year I didn't make, but I probably made every one of them my sophomore year.
Yeah.
I was sixth man, unfortunately, nationals my freshman year, so I didn't get to go. But then I was low man at nationals my sophomore year.
Right.
Third team All-American, or honorable mention All-American.
Yeah. So definitely progressed then.
Yeah, definitely.
And then because it's a JUCO, you're looking when you're starting your second year or towards the end of it, you're trying to figure out where you're going next.
Yeah. And I really, where I ended up was not even on my radar.
It wasn't on mine either.
I'd never even heard of Southern Nazarene.
Yeah.
And but I was looking at UTA, UT, Pan America, couple of bigger D1s, but just wasn't a whole lot of money there.
Yeah.
Some
if
out-
you're going, you've got to pay
yeah,
a lot more.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah.
Some in Eastern and New Mexico, and a couple of different spots out west. But ultimately, just came up here, and Coach Halsey picked me up at the airport. We went to Oak Tree National.
It wasn't like mine when I showed up, I can tell you that. I said that I didn't even come on a recruiting trip, so I just came straight out.
And,
Did you play with Ron out at National?
Who?
Ron Coming-Deer out at National?
No, I played with Ron Mercer, actually.
Okay.
Mercer Adams'
Yeah.
mom.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was just us three. Great time.
And that
it was Ron
it.
Mercer. It was
Yeah.
either Ron. It might have been Coming Deer.
I mean, Coming-Deer has a ponytail, so you
Yeah.
wouldn't know. Yeah. But so clearly sold you, and you're playing National, and Halsey does a great job of saying, yeah, we're playing here every day.
Right.
Sure.
We'll play here occasionally.
okay.
Occasionally, never.
Yeah. If you want to pay the green fee, you can play here whenever you want. So then you're like, right, let's go to Bethany, Oklahoma, and play for SNU.
Yeah, it was just I kind of fell in love with Oklahoma City, and which is obviously it's changed a ton for the better. But yeah, it was a good ride. It was good offer, and met a few of the guys, and couldn't turn it down, kind of deal.
So who was on your team when you came in then? That I would know.
Blake Trimble and I came in the same time because I came in as a junior. He came in as a freshman.
Gotcha.
Chad McCamey, obviously, you know him well.
Yeah. He definitely needs to work on his golf game.
I played with him though this past week. It's not hitting it too bad.
Yeah. I had a hole by hole text chain off him, so after you played.
Jonathan Williams, you would know.
Yeah.
Brent Levine, you would know. Trying to think who else you might know.
Pretty good team.
Well,
man.
Red Bolin and
Yeah.
Jody Taylor. Those guys came my senior year.
What were SNU ranked when you came in?
We're probably top 3 or 4 in our conference. Obviously,
yeah.
Oklahoma City, Oklahoma Christian were
Which that
strong.
conference is stacked in NAIA.
Yeah, so
Well, back
NAIA
then it
days,
was, yeah.
those, it's just a different ball game when
Yeah.
you talk scholarships NAIA versus D2 now. And so, it was just, but we were strong. They were tough to beat, but we were strong. And we finished, I don't remember, gosh, I'm terrible. I should probably research that before you ask me. I don't remember what we finished at nationals and stuff, but
clearly had a good time, loved it enough to stay those 2 years, and didn't think as soon as I get here, like, oh, this is
Right.
I don't want to be here.
Right.
Right.
I mean, coming from West Texas, I mean, there's some stuff there were some reasonings I wanted to go back, but there was a lot more reasons I didn't.
Yeah.
And just decided to stay.
Yeah.
Been here since 2001.
What was your degree in?
Finance.
Okay. Was
Yeah.
that easy to transfer credits from the JUCO?
Yeah.
Which is nice, because
Yeah, it was
sometimes
nice.
I got some kids now that I know that went to JUCO. They're like, I have to do another year of school.
Yeah, no, that was nice.
Or they don't graduate and they turn pro.
Yeah. I was actually very fortunate and made sure all those things aligned before I
Yeah.
made that decision.
Yeah.
So
How was Halsey as a coach back then?
great.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I mean, I he recruited me too, but then he, like, after my freshman year, he didn't, he retired or whatever happened. He didn't work there anymore, which for me sucked, because I'm like, this guy's recruited me.
Sure.
He seems like a riot.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of fun around him.
Very genuine.
I should have him on the
great
podcast,
man.
actually. He's the one.
He was a good players coach. I mean, he listened to us. He took advice that we suggested to heart, and
Yeah.
got us rocking some polo because of me back in the day.
I was not fortunate enough to have that, sadly.
So, I mean, got any like stories that you're allowed to tell from time at college with Halsey and going on golf trips and?
Gosh, I'm not a
No?
terrible story guy.
Really?
Yes, I don't know. I don't have any like really good stories.
One of the only trips I went on, I was ineligible my freshman year, which I found out as I landed, which wasn't fun. But I did go to conference at the Rolls in the Texas Tech course.
Yeah, I love it.
And I traveled just with everybody, and I wasn't playing, but I was traveling. And our bus broke down on the way to the golf course. And I've got this picture somewhere of like 8 guys pushing this giant, like, 15 passenger van at like 7:30 in the morning.
Right.
And that's probably one of the things that was like the only trip I took.
I do remember our first tournament, and this was another recruiting tactic that he used, which was great. Was he's like, hey, we're gonna next year. I've got Doral lined up.
Yeah.
I was like, wow,
Right.
the Blue Monster.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. I don't remember who hosted it. One of those Florida schools, obviously. So we get out there, and I mean, it's just as you would expect, just nails.
Perfect.
Yeah, just nails. Absolutely perfect. And so we play the first day, and about halfway through, it starts pouring. I mean, absolutely pouring. And I am the only player on the team that has an umbrella.
Why were you? I mean, why?
I don't know.
Dude, it
no
was just
umbrella.
there, yeah.
And it continued to rain for the next 3 days.
Brilliant.
Yeah. It was hilarious.
Always got to have something on you.
Finally got some rain gear, I think. But
Yeah.
yeah, I remember 77 is what I think I shot.
God, I love golf.
Right.
And isn't
Actually,
it not
with
all
the
the
weather,
same?
though, I think I was top 15 out of like a lot.
Yeah.
It was a big tournament, but it was just pouring. It's awful.
That's
Florida.
one of the things I missed
But
out on.
in Florida though, we weren't called off because it wasn't lightning
yeah.
much, and
Yeah.
they're just kind of used to it. They're like, yeah, no, we're not stopping. It's like, oh,
All right, cool.
we had a couple of delays. But
Yeah, that's one thing I missed out on when we transitioned to D2 is we didn't travel as much. All the NAIA schools, if you're a top NAIA school, you travel to where the top players are hosted.
Sure.
We didn't do that. We played in Arkansas all the time.
Yeah.
In the van all the time. The only time I jumped on a plane was when I went to regionals and nationals, but just like
so we went to
another
Florida.
6-hour drive to Hot Springs.
Oh,
or
it was
wherever we're
Johnson
going.
Wells. That's who hosted it. And then immediately, or not immediately, but like very short thereafter, we were in San Diego.
Yeah.
So I mean, we traveled. My junior year was great. I mean, we were kind of all over.
Yeah.
Texas and both directions.
Yeah. Are you thinking when you graduate then with a degree in finance, are you thinking you want to continue playing golf, or are you thinking, nah, it's not worth it. Let's go find a job.
Just didn't really pursue the financial backing that I needed, kind of deal, and so just had marriage and
Yeah.
on my mind already. And actually, I was engaged when I graduated.
Did Callie go to SNU as well?
No, I met Callie down in Midland.
Okay.
Yeah, before I came up here. So
Yeah.
we did long distance for a couple of years, and then she moved up when we got married in January
Nice.
after graduation. So yeah, I really didn't have golf pursuit on my mind.
Yeah. You're like, I'm going to use this degree. I'm going to get into
Yeah.
the world and go, do whatever you want to do.
Just had that mindset of business already. And
Yeah. Coming from Midland, then, were you thinking old field? Like finding all business and go be finance and all field stuff?
No, really at that point in time, not knowing anyone up here, I was just trying to think of something to get paid.
Yeah.
So, like I need to make money.
Right.
We get married in 7 months.
Do you get internship or just kind of?
No. So I started off with New York Life,
Okay.
commission only,
That's scary.
at 22 in Oklahoma.
Recently married.
No, not married yet,
Oh,
but
yeah.
recently engaged.
Yeah.
And in that line of work, you got to call people who you know, and I'm like, I don't really know
anybody.
I literally went to class and the golf course every day.
Yeah.
So that was tough, but I did that for a couple of years, and we were able to help some people, and that was a very good learning experience, learning about people.
Yeah.
And then a couple years into it, I think, let's see. Yeah, my wife had told me she was pregnant. I was like, man, I've got to get something that's just more stable.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just there was months where
coming in.
There was months there was nothing.
Yeah,
you know. So that's when I went into the banking side of business and the finance side, and was a personal banker and kind of worked my way up through the bank and
and then just got bored of it and figured, let's go. How do you get from banking to insurance?
Well, so there was a little gap there also. So I went to work for one of my clients in the oil field space after the banking realm, and then that didn't work out as far as 2015 was concerned.
Yeah.
And so then, I decided to put fate in my own hands and go into the insurance world.
Back to fully commission?
Back to fully commission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have 2 kids at this point?
Two kids.
Yeah.
Yep.
2 boys?
2 boys.
Light of the world, aren't they?
Yep.
And the new dog that you have now?
Yeah, and then I got
Kevin?
another one.
You got another one?
Yeah, Stanley. Kevin and Stanley.
The kids name the dogs?
So they helped with the first one, and then me and the wife kind of went with.
You're like, okay, we need to name the second one because you might have Buzz Lightyear and Kevin.
Well, we asked them a few ideas, and then we kind of all agreed on Stanley. So 2 dachshunds, they're awesome. So I've been the insurance business now for 4 years. So love it, absolutely love it.
So you're doing the independent stuff, and then you meet Brandon through golf, and think, hang on a second, there's an opportunity here.
Sure.
How does that go from being independent to, playing with Brandon Weeden and having a fun time? And I mean, he's a great golfer himself, but most people who are listening know him for football and OSU.
Right.
Well, how does that happen?
It was one of those deals where, so the agency I worked at prior to this, great group of guys, very thankful for, the opportunity they gave me and got me started. And as an agent for an agency, you don't really have any ownership, any potential for, the bonuses or anything like that. And so, like you said, I met Brandon Weeden golfing through some mutual friends. We just kind of hit it off. I mean, like you said, he's a good golfer, great person, a good family man. Just loved and adored here, especially in Stillwater and this part of town. And kind of approached him and kind of explained to him how it worked and what the opportunity was. And so we went into business in April of 2020, right before the. What's funny is we'd agreed to go into business together. We had several meetings and got everything lined up partnership wise, and we were at dinner at Ned's Starlight Lounge the night of the Thunder game. Okay. With another couple, me and Callie and another couple. And Weeden's there with some of the radio guys doing a bit that night. And so we're all sitting there fixing to watch the Thunder game when they're playing Utah. Right. And that's when COVID,
really happened.
Hit the world
to
that
everybody.
night.
Yeah.
And so 3 weeks later, we're officially 4-1 was our start of business. And recently built a new building. So we just moved in this past week. So we're getting all that decorated going and rocking and rolling. Yeah. So.
And is it like all kinds of insurance, or is it just like specific to?
So we're an independent agency where we do home, auto, commercial, so commercial property, general liability, work comp, that kind of stuff. But so we're independent. So what I tell people is we work for you. We don't work for one carrier. So we go out and try to find the best coverage for the best price, and that can change. I've got when these carriers, their market shift changes or whatnot, and they may go up in Oklahoma and down in another area. And so if we need to make a move, we make a move. Just so we're always looking out for your bottom line, but ultimately looking out for the best coverage for the client. So
and something that clearly you've done for 10 plus years now.
As far as
insurance?
No.
2015.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So 6. Yeah. You've done it long enough to know what you're doing.
Obviously. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And then staying in Oklahoma City market, or kind of.
Yeah, I primarily worked the Oklahoma City market as majority of my clients, but being from Texas, I'm licensed in Texas, and I write quite a bit of friends and family, and I'm very fortunate. I get a lot of referrals from my West Texas friends. Shout out. But I'm licensed in Colorado, Arizona as well. So I've got some people that live here that have places out there, or I've got some friends that live in Colorado that, I've got businesses out there that I
Is
write.
it fairly easy to get licensed in other states? Just a test?
It's not even a test. It's a fee. So the answer is,
I love America.
Yes.
Yes, it is. Where do you want to do business?
You're licensed.
Just pay the fee.
Once you're licensed, it's just pay a fee.
Yeah.
Because the national exam is the exact same.
Right.
So
it's not like the real estate license. You got to take it in every single state.
Right.
If you
No,
want to be in it.
it's one license, 2 years CE kind of deal, and like I think I paid. $70 for whatever, something like that for Colorado not too long ago. So but
open for business.
Open for business.
What's the name and the website and stuff like that?
Yeah, so Hometown Insurance is the agency, and then our group is BW Insurance Group. We actually don't have a website. We're working on that.
Nice.
Yeah, how good is that?
Yeah.
I mean, so the way it works is the agency is out of Tulsa.
Okay.
So when we decided to go into business together, we joined this agency, but we own our own book. If that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So they're based out of Tulsa, and they do a little bit of some of our back end stuff. But we immediately walked into all of those carriers' contracts. So
and systems and all the rest of it.
Right. So those contracts just aren't handed out kind of deal. So like Progressive and Safeco and Travelers and those contracts are actually kind of tough to get unless you're an established agent. So that's. But
so it all worked out good then.
Yeah, really good.
And first year in business, I mean, it's been, starting during the COVID year, I'm sure it's been difficult, but
but we
having a new building built.
We almost doubled our goal.
That's awesome.
So we had a goal in that 12 months, and we were just shy of doubling that goal in our first year. So it's the best year I've had as far as production is concerned, and helping people. So I hate saying like production. I like saying I was able to help twice as many people.
Right.
Kind of deal. You know what I mean?
But that's what it is, though, isn't it? Like it's. That's exactly what I mean. It's saving people money, effectively. Yeah. That's what you're doing, aren't you?
Absolutely.
So through all this, business building and kind of doing all that, before that, as well as doing now, you're still playing golf actively. And we've played some USGA events. We played one together, but you recently played the 4-ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At Chambers Bay.
Right.
Which, if most people listening that are golfers will hear Chambers Bay and think the place is a go ranch because it had one bad US Open. But it's really not, is it?
It's absolutely stunning.
I've heard many people say that it's like one of the best places in the world.
So the golfers that know Chambers Bay from Jordan Spieth winning in 2015 on what looked like parking lot greens, because they were just, not even parking lot. I mean, they were burnt. I mean, it was crispy, and the infamous 3-putt from Dustin Johnson from 12 feet.
Painful.
Which obviously we putted that same putt because we have to. You have to. Yeah. But it is absolutely gorgeous. Chambers Bay, hats off to them. They've just. I mean, it's completely different than what you saw on TV. I mean, it's green, it's lush, but the terrain is real. I mean, that train comes by a dozen times a day. Just being right there on the water. I mean, it was just stunning. Yeah. Absolutely gorgeous. And they put on a great tournament. So
tell me about like the call up, because you qualified. You didn't like legit qualify. You qualified obviously because you went, but you didn't like qualify in the top spots to go. You had a phone call 2 weeks before you went.
Right. So me and my partner, we went out to Reno, Nevada in October.
Your partner from here or from Texas?
Texas. Yeah, Brady Shivers lives in West Texas, and
played at Midland with you, old buddy.
Played at Midland.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's a little younger than me, but I've known him since he was in diapers.
Yeah.
And then he went on to play at University of Houston. And we tried last year. We went to Phoenix last year. We missed it by one. We were alternate last year in Phoenix. And so we chose Reno, Nevada this year because the website looked good and the greens they were bent. So we wanted something with bent greens.
Right.
So we went out there. Plus, there was a casino, so
you make a trip of it.
So I took my wife, and he took his cousin, who caddied for us. And the dude gets on absolute fire. and shoots like 30 on the back. We shoot 9 under coming in. We're playing with 2 guys that had qualified, and had also qualified for the mid-am. They were good players who shot 8, and they're like, that has to do it. I mean, that was, you guys just lit it up on the back 9. And so we get in, and not 20 minutes later, a team posts 10. And we were just gutted because they're only taking 1 spot, which
that doesn't usually
absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
how many teams in the field?
40 something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 40 something teams in the field, and 1 qualifier. So, the guys are like, you guys have a good the guys we played with, because they're local. Actually, they're Vegas guys, but local to Nevada anyways. As soon as they're like, you still have a chance of getting in. You still have a chance of getting that phone call. Well, the tournament's not till May. Yeah. So we were like, well, okay, let's.
And the qualifier was in
September
of the previous
of 19 or of 2020.
Yeah.
And so we go a whole 8 months, and
I don't understand why they do that.
I don't either.
Like, it makes no sense.
I don't know if it was because the team that qualified was in, so they leave a few spots open, and then they looked at the strength of the field, kind of deal. And so I was actually sitting at UCO because I was dropping my son off for state testing mid to early May, and my phone rings, and it's Brady, and he just starts screaming, "Let's go!" And we had just went on a trip to Paynes Valley,
right?
And we had just talked about Dogecoin,
sure.
And it was just at that time it was just going to the moon,
yeah.
And so I thought that's what he was talking about. So I'm on my
straight to the app,
and I'm like, heck yeah, dude!
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost to 70 cents or whatever. And it was so funny. He's like, no, we're going to effing Chambers Bay. I completely forgot about the qualifier.
What are you talking about?
Right.
Yeah.
And so at that point, I mean, I got chills, and so anyway, so we got in as an alternate, and it was funny because the USGA called him first, and he's like, we're in. And the guy was like, no, you need to call your partner just to make sure. And he's like, no, we're in. We're going.
We'll be there.
We'll be there.
Yeah. So, the wives understand. We will be
so
there.
we immediately had to make some reservations and find a caddy up there and book our flights and hotels. And
off you go.
Off we go. Here comes Seattle.
It. So good.
Yeah, it was absolutely, Chambers Bay is special. Super special. I really think they'll get another big event for sure.
Hopefully. Yeah, I mean, they need redemption, don't they? They need to make it.
And that was kind of their. I mean, they've got something else. They're getting a women's event. I can't remember if it's the women's amateur. Mm-hmm. I can't remember, but they're getting another one. But they obviously want like a U.S. Open. Or,
yeah. So good to have that. Like it's.
I don't think they'll get an Open. They'll probably get a.
Yeah, maybe in USM. They got facilities for you to host the USM, like to have the infrastructure and everything and all that stuff. Yeah. What a feeling. I mean. And the other thing you played in recently was the Barstool stuff, right? What's that? I saw you post a picture of that.
Yeah, so
total different to different scene to go into the US
so Barstool Sports puts on a tournament called the Barstool Classic, and they've got events all over the country. And so we chose Chicago just
to make a trip out of it.
Yeah, make a trip out of it. Last year we went to Denver.
The wives haven't caught on to that yet, have they?
Actually, the wives were supposed to go this year. Kind of a sore subject, but anyway, so Weeden and I,
Callie.
A couple other buddies, Mitch Day and Austin Keeney, we flew up. We just actually got back yesterday. It's a 1 day, 2-man low ball, 50% of your handicap. Top 4 go to Pinehurst.
Yeah,
and so they do like 20 or so events across the country. Yeah, and then. You'd lose your amateur status if you made it, but not make it, but win it because it pays $10,000. Yeah. But Riggs is there. A lot of the Barstool people are there. Yeah. So last year, Marty Mush was there. Dana Beers was there. This year there wasn't as many Barstool people, but it's a great time. Yeah. Really good time. So get some good swag, some Peter Millar swag. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good time.
That's one of the best things about, like, I mean, playing golf, isn't it? Is being able to go on golf trips, right?
Yeah.
And go and, like, you know, and it's never just one. Like, it's like a 3-day minimum.
Yeah.
You know, and just going away and even, you know, like you mentioned earlier,
Gosh,
you
I've
play
had
golf
a year
till you're
this year.
85.
I've been kind of spoiled this year as far as trips are concerned. I got
Yeah.
to go to Palm Springs in March. Absolutely best golf I've ever played. Was
Never play golf in California.
You got to go to Palm
Yeah.
Springs. Yeah. And then, like I said, Seattle, Paynes Valley, Tiger's new course, and
Is it good?
Branson, pure.
Yeah.
Very.
Like very wide as well. It looks wide on TV.
Yeah, it's wide,
Yeah.
but we tipped it out. It was raining.
Yeah.
It was, but it was absolutely.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
It's not that far away, is it?
No, it was so my buddies from West Texas flew in. I picked them up. I think it was like a 4.5 hour drive to the airport where they flew into, and then it was like another hour.
Yeah.
So it wasn't bad at all.
Easy trip.
Yeah.
And that place is, I mean, big Cedar Lodge and all that. I mean, it is. I have heard recently that the range is falling apart. Is that right? Have you heard that?
Yes.
The range has got a sinkhole in it.
Yeah, it was under
It's
construction.
one of the most beautiful ranges
The
ever.
top of the rock or whatever.
Yeah.
We went to dinner there one night, and there was definitely under construction. Something was going on. I hadn't heard.
Who told me
what was-
that recently? Someone told
That
me
makes sense, though.
That it has, like, they have a sinkhole, and they're like, I mean, the guy owns Bass Pro, right? The
Right.
owner, so he's spending stupid amount of money to
Right.
fix it,
Right.
just fill it in.
Right.
Well, mate, I mean, we could talk golf for hours, and I don't know if people want to listen to us talk golf for hours, but hopefully we both get to go to the US Mid-Am again this year in Nantucket.
I'm not going to qualify.
Why? Where are you going to be?
I'm going to be in Cabo that weekend for my 40th.
Oh, that's good for me.
Yeah.
One less spot to worry about.
I looked at the dates, and I'd already planned this trip, so you know,
your
I'm
40th
much
is in
older
September?
than you.
Is it August? End of August?
September 23rd.
Oh, really? You have the same birthday as Taryn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
should know that. Yeah.
So I think the Mid-Am starts on the 24th.
Probably,
It's
yeah.
the day we fly home.
Yeah.
So, I mean, technically, I could still
Cabo to Nantucket.
to Nantucket. But
Yeah.
I think I'm going to pass this year because I've had as my wife would call it, I've had a pretty generous trip year.
Yeah. Well, and the boys are getting older. It's easier to travel now.
It really
right?
is,
You know,
yeah.
You don't have to worry. They can take care of the dogs.
But the US 4-ball list just came out and for next year, so I'll pick a spot for that, and then I'll do the Mid-Am next year.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
keep trying.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. That one time
so
that we
fun.
went, it
It's
was
unbelievable.
like it's the best tournament I've ever played in. Like,
It's
just phenomenal.
people that have never been. I mean, it's just the USGA does a really good job, and that's special.
Yeah.
Very special.
I don't think you'll have a caddy like you had that one day. I'm just remembering that now.
Oh my
that
gosh,
guy,
I forgot about him.
For people listening, we played a practice round together. We both qualified from Oklahoma. We played a practice round together at Charlotte Country Club, was it?
Yeah.
And Jared shows up on the first tee with this caddy who literally looked like he'd walked off the street.
He almost. I mean, it's very Happy Gilmore-ish.
And I mean, he was hilarious too.
Oh, yeah.
And you had to sadly tell the pro that, look, I don't want him to caddy me.
I was like, hey,
week.
I need you to tell that guy that.
Yeah.
I think I told him my caddy was coming in a day early. Because
Rhett was coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
But
great.
yeah,
Again, stories from golf trips.
Had to fire that guy.
Yeah.
It was just a little mental.
Oh, I love it. Well, mate,
time. Absolutely.
thanks for coming down. All the best to the new business, all the continued success to the new business. Hopefully it keeps, doubling and you impact more lives and save people more money. Gotta love this country for that's the one thing I love about this country is business and opportunity and the American dream, because it's
That's
real.
right. Yeah.
So,
I appreciate it. Appreciate having me on and talking golf. And
we need to play soon for sure when the
Make it
course
happen.
opens. If the course opens, if it stops raining. But for everyone listening, I'll post the links to Jared's stuff down in the description, and we'll catch you next episode. Cheers.
This podcast is presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, telling Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at OklahomaHOF. Also, huge shout out to RCB Bank for jumping on board to be a sponsor. RCB Bank's loan promotion is here for a limited time. Head into any of their 40 Oklahoma locations to get as low as 1.79 APR on your next car, boat, camper, or ATV. Apply online at rcbbank.com. RCB Bank, that's my bank. Rate and finance with approved credit. Restrictions apply. And member FDIC. Huge shout out to my sponsors. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you next episode. Cheers.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.